What is up, folks? Matt back for another real review, and today I'm joined by none other than the Boston badass herself, Paige Frabetti. How you doing, Paige?
Oh, lovely. I mean, I'm excited. We're actually talking about one of my favorite movies of the year.
Emphasis
I
on
kind of know how
yours.
you feel, but I think this will be a fun one to discuss non-spoily with each other
Yes.
because we both have different takes on this film. Like we both walked away completely different opinions entirely. So it will be fun for us to kind of like go back and forth on that a little bit.
Yeah, and if you can't tell from down there or that background, we're here to talk about Luca Guadagnino's Bones and All. For those who don't know, it's a cannibalism love story that is also a coming of age story.
Mm-hmm. But also a horror film
Yeah,
too. Like,
horror thriller. It's like it's got
road trip.
so many genres just packed into it. You're just like,
Mm-hmm.
huh? But the base of this film is our lead character. Why is her name slipping me? Maybe because spoiler alert. I don't have a lot of great glowing things to say about this movie. But our lead is
Marin.
yes, Marin. Thank you.
Taylor Russell.
Taylor Russell. Yes, Marin is just this girl who, for some reason, she has an affinity for eating human beings and she can't help herself. She's abandoned by her father and left to live on her own and try to make it. And she comes across our little drifter pal, played by Timothy Chalamet. I think it's Jack, isn't it?
Lee.
G.
Close enough.
Yeah.
L and J are kind of close together.
To be fair, she loved it, so she's keeping it at her forefront of the mind.
I got you guys.
Lee,
He did not give a Harry Styles performance. That's why you're calling him Jack.
No, there's Paige. I've just seen so many movies in the last month. Everything's just blending.
Okay. I saw this movie. Yeah, I saw this movie over a month ago. Yeah, over a month ago. I saw it back at the end of September at the New York Film Festival. And walking away out of this film, man, and I think that's why I enjoyed so much of it. That Luca Guadagnino knows how to visually and artistically like convey not only like a landscape of the rural America that is the backdrop of this film, but like the coming of age and like feeling for these characters, like learning to understand like these characters are born this way, and they in a sense they despise themselves of being this way, but this is how they have to survive. They have to be.
You're not wrong, and for some people, like, so do they only eat humans? No, they eat normal food also. Like,
yeah, I was curious about that too, but yeah, they do.
There are plenty of scenes in diners and yeah, plenty of scenes in diners or eating breakfast. It's just they are like normal humans. I bet the best way to describe them is kind of like vampires, because at a certain point they feel the need to feed on human flesh.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, too, they kind of don't have like control over it. Like they have to do this to survive. Like this is like even though they're disgusted with themselves that they are this way, but when it comes to them being like eaters, like even when they eat, they turn animal in a sense. Like you'll see it become very feral.
Word cannibal never used once in this film, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. It's always eater, and I do want to say the cat. As much as it seems like I'm gonna bash this film, I'm really not. Realistically, the cast is phenomenal. Taylor Russell is great.
She's blind. Oh my gosh, yeah. This film would not have been as great as it was. This film was performance based entirely.
Yes, it is. So that's the only thing that's its largest saving grace, because it covers a subject matter that if you're like me, you pull yourself out of it almost immediately. If you're Paige, not so much, but there's plenty of times I was just checking my watch and like, because I knew the runtime, like how close are we to this being? Because I can't handle more of this. My stomach was not feeling the best after seeing it. But
I will say the thing with the film is too, I don't think
it doesn't. It's not too graphic.
Yeah, but I will say
there's a couple spots.
The scenes that they do show, like the eating aspect of it. Like this film is, I'd say, gory, And a lot of people
Yes.
might be like, "Oh, this isn't really like a horror film. Like it's more coming of age." No, like this
No.
film is literally a coming of age gory
Or,
horror film.
and
Like obviously the love story is at its core, but like what they're dealing with and kind of how they're like trying to survive.
yeah,
And I think the biggest core of this film is being cannibals. Like it's a metaphor for them of being like outcast and trying to survive and discover who they are in everyday life and
discover
learning to accept it. That's the biggest thing. I just love
discovering who you are and learning to accept it is probably the thing I'll agree most with, because that's what they're trying to do. They, like you said, they really give off a vibe of they hate the fact that they do this.
it.
And
Exactly.
like a lot of these people set rules for themselves, like
Hmm.
no one who's married or things like that, because they don't want to leave family widowed or even just have familial ties in general.
Exactly.
um
And that's what I loved about this film was that there was like there is they give reasons to like they hate themselves for doing it, but there's also like they kind of have boundaries of how they go about it in a sense. Like you meet like pretty much like I would say like 3 or 4 different type of eaters.
you meet five
5,
eaters,
technically 4.
six, no,
Yes, 6, 6,
technically
yeah.
six, because you have your main two. You have Mark Rylance, you
Mhm.
have
Michael
uh
Stuhlbarg,
Michael Stuhlbarg, his
David Gordon
partner,
Green.
his
Yeah,
yeah, David Gordon Green, and then her mother.
you're correct. Yes,
So there's you meet six
that
different
might have
eaters
been a
over
little
this time.
spoiler, but
Eh, but
I think people will get the idea though. Like when you
yeah,
see the trailers, you can kind of
yeah,
piece things together. But yeah, no, and for me, like I kind of like that aspect of it. Like you got to see the different types. Like ones follow certain rules as I'll only eat off someone that is dying. And then you have someone that's like Lee's character, Timothy Chalamet's character, who is kind of like the rebel in a
hmm
sense of even he hates himself, but he also is doing it like he's kind of
he
like
tries to
Batman
aim.
in a sense.
Yeah,
Like yeah,
he
like
tries to aim for bad people, but when they have to feed, like if
yeah,
it's dire, that's when he'll break his rule a little bit.
exactly, yeah.
Um, the, I want to shout out Mark Rylance, because when you talk about the horror in this film, his character brings the most of it. Some of the most tense scenes.
Oh my god, yeah.
Um, just overall, you're sitting there whenever he's on screen, like, is is he about to snap right here? Are we gonna get out of
Mm.
this? And I was just blown away by Mark Rylance.
Oh,
Um,
he's a scene stealer. Every scene he's
yes,
in, he's remarkable. And like I will everyone I tell it when they see this movie, I'm just like, guys, like beware for him because he will terrify you throughout. To me, I'm saying it right now. He deserves an Oscar nomination. He fucking better get one. Like that's an Oscar nominated performance.
yeah,
He should win it, especially with
I
that
I
category
can't
right
think of
now.
I honestly can't think of other supporting actors that like have had standout performances this year. So
And that's why I think he deserves to be in that. At least like
we got a couple months here, Paige. We got a couple months to sort some
we
things
do.
out.
But
Um, but like Paul Dano could get nominated for 2 roles for all we know. Just saying. But I something I liked about his eater is the rule: eaters. I don't eat other eaters, because at the end of the day, he understands they're suffering just like me.
mhm.
And I thought that was interesting. So it's like you said, there's different types. They all have their different rules, but uh, at the end of the day, this felt like this is where it felt like a CW movie. Like you cast it in terms of you cast attractive young people and what have some cringy ass subject matter, because let's be honest, like this subject matter is not going to be for everyone. It wasn't for me. I know
I will
Kate.
agree with that.
Yeah,
I
but
agree with
like
that. This film is definitely not for everyone, but I'm sorry. Like this film to me was beautifully shot. The
oh no,
way
no,
that
I'm not
yeah.
talking. For me. I'm saying this all based off of subject matter. I love
Okay,
the
yeah.
cinematography. Like the reason my score is what it is all the plot. Just the plot just plummets what would
Well,
be
I
a
think
near perfect
for
film.
you and for, like, I think the difference between me and you 2 was
Yeah.
the runtime definitely hurt you, and I think because I think a lot of people will feel like there's a lot of, like, what's the term? Open air?
Yeah.
Like, dry air I don't know what the term is.
The general rule of
That's
horror is like 90 minutes is a sweet spot. This is like 210.
It is I think it's exactly 210. For me, though, everything in this film, like, even in the, like, little simple moments of, like, something that's not like, adding to the plot at all, you're you're diving into the characters, you're learning
Yes.
more about these characters, and I think that's why I enjoyed it being so long, because I felt for these characters. These characters are doing horrible things, like, cannibalism is not normal and is not okay, but, like, you feel for these characters, and you kind of understand where they're coming from, and you don't have to be an eater
Yeah.
to be able to sympathize and understand, because at the end of the day, like we said earlier, like, this film is learning about understanding who you are and accepting yourself as an outsider,
Mhm.
and they just use cannibalism as that metaphor in a sense, and
Keep in mind, this is also based on a book. So, like,
can can I say something about that? So, I remember when the news broke that this was becoming a film and Luca Guadagnino was directing it. And then obviously I heard Taylor Russell and Timothy Chalamet, my future husband, were attached. So I was like, all right, gonna see this regardless. I also love Luca's work. I think he's just amazing. He's just so talented. But when I didn't know anything about the book, when I like read the plot synopsis, I don't know why, and I just thought coming of age. I would just like I kind of thought it was gonna be like more leaning towards like the skew of like a road trip
mhm.
comedy. Like how do you make a movie about cannibalism,
Cannibalism and not
like a
have
heart
the,
yeah, but it's
yeah.
still feel heartfelt and like a drama in a sense and like gory, and that's why like Luca blew me away. This film is fucking appetizing. You
So
might not wanna eat afterwards, but it's
you
fucking
might not
app
want to eat before. Just go on an empty stomach. Don't bring any snacks. I will say this because I'll spoil like the little bit of the beginning because the opening like thing of her being a cannibal is out online. That scene is out online.
That
It's
is
on
true,
their
it is,
YouTube.
yeah, it is. It's on a trailer.
I can say that going into this, I'm watching the movie and I'm like, I thought this was a cannibal movie, and
Mhm.
I was like, or am I thinking of a different movie or? And then she bites the girl's finger off. I'm like, oh no, 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 no! This is exactly what I thought. But
Yeah.
they lull you into this, like especially if you don't know what you're seeing, they just
Mhm.
lull you into this sense of false security, and then bam,
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm
oh,
saying, like, this film isn't for everyone, that's for damn sure. If you like coming of age slash road trip slash, like, horror dramas, then I definitely recommend checking this out. But, like, it is it no, I wouldn't say it's a slow burn, but it is a slower bit of a film that it's
yeah,
more of
it
your
drags
you're
apart.
learning to understand these characters,
You
and
do.
it gives you time to sympathize with them and understand where they come from. But goddamn, the performances are so good, and that's why I enjoyed every second of this film.
So
I
Paige, I'll let you
definitely
go first.
yeah, I definitely walked out of this film in a mood. I was like, I felt some type of way, it definitely made me, like, weird out a little bit, but I was like, I dug every fucking aspect of it.
And with that, Paige, what'd you give it out of 5?
For me, dude, I'm going 4.5 out of 5 because god damn it, Luca Guadagnino once again killed it. I mean, he brings the best out in his performers. The editing in this film, the cinematography, the music. It's just the way they show rural America in the early 1980s. It's
Shout out
just
to Trent Reznor for the score. I forgot to say
yeah, just
that.
like god damn, this movie is
Yeah,
beautiful. And
like
it's a boy love story at its core.
yes,
It
but
will rip your heart out and then eat it. So definitely go check it out.
for me, I like I said, the plot is what brings the entire thing down for me. I have no other complaints besides the plot, and that's
Mhm.
why I'm going 3 out of 5. Realistically, you could probably bump that up to a 4, but it's there's just a lot that I'm just like, and I don't have a weak stomach. Paige and I talk about horror a lot. I'm still, granted, I'm still a baby horror fan. I'm still very selective about what I do give a chance and what I don't. And it was funny because my father is a critic also. He didn't care for the film. But when we're walking out of the theater and he was yelling at me because I reminded him we had the screening, and he's like, "I could have skipped that. I didn't have to see that." And I'm like, well, it's getting awards praise, so I figured you won. He's like, "This is getting awards praise." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh God." But I mean, from a technical aspect, just a near perfect film.
Yeah,
It's
technical and performance based, it's like wonderful. I can understand why the plot might not grab people, but I mean, I love coming of age films.
yes,
Um, Even if it has to do with cannibalism, I guess, because no matter what, you can find this film can grab you and you can kind of understand and sympathize and I don't know, feel one with these characters, even though you're not an eater.
yes. And I think that's the perfect way to end this off because I'm getting a little bit woozy thinking about this movie again. But Paige, where can the good people find you?
Yeah, man. I mean, guys, you can check me out on Instagram and Twitter if it hasn't burned down already at Front Page News 9. And you can also check out my review for Bones and All coming soon on bitesizebreakdown.com. So stay tuned for that, guys. And I just love hanging out with lovely Matt. So
Yeah,
thank you,
we
guys.
don't do it as much as we used to, but trust me, we're finding ways to do it. Don't worry, me, her, and Jeff got something in the.
We're getting back. We'll do the other show that Sam Levinson is doing whenever the hell that comes out.
Yes, but once again, everyone, you know where you can find me over here at Watt Real Entertainment, Watt Movies Matt on Twitter. But yeah, just be sure to check out all these reviews we're doing. Check out the Twitch where Taylor's just finished God of War. He's learning how to play Fortnite. Connor's streaming Bully. We're doing a ton of crazy stuff on Twitch. So go check out the Twitch, twitch.com/WhatRealEnt. And yeah, so until next time, I'm Matt.
I think I'm Paige. Yeah, I'm Paige.
And this was another Real Review. Have a good one.